I personally don't like multiple choice questions. Um, I have two reasons. The first reason is because I feel like multiple choice questions doesn't tell me too much if a student is studying or not. I try to ask the students to explain why they choose, why they think the answer that they choose it is, but sometimes it backfires. So I tend to avoid giving multiple choice questions. And I get it, standardized testing, they include a lot of multiple choice questions. But the problem is like when students are learning from my perspective, they will probably get used to guessing. And don't get me wrong, when I was younger and I was in college and I took chemistry in college, I also guessed too. I even dared to use a D4 dice. Yeah, a Dungeons and Dragons dice, a D4. I would roll it, and whatever number comes up, I would choose whatever answer I could. So in this case, if a 3 came up, and you can see the 3 right out there, I would choose the number 3. If the question had more than 4 choices, then I will increase to my D6. Um, but the only way, and the only reason I would use a dice was if I really wasn't sure of the answer. If I'm sure of the answer, then I can probably I can probably answer the question quickly because I study. I will know the answer right away. Um, if I didn't know the answer and I had studied and some of the answers there, I knew they were related to something else, I will eliminate those answers right away. So that way my chances of guessing, I will have more of a chance of guessing the right answer. But I will try not to use guessing too much. I will try to answer as much as I could to be able to do okay. But guessing answers is not a resource for learning. I don't like that because some of the students sometimes are trying to just sit in class and just do their test guessing. Too much, too much guess, too much guessing. Now, I'm taking an online class, and in online class sometimes you will do multiple choice. Um, One of the things that I've been dealing with is time limits. Time limits. So, for example, my quizzes each week are 50 questions in 30 minutes. And that's actually 50 questions in 30 minutes. That makes it a little bit more difficult because you really have to study, you really have to understand the chapters that you're reading. And so that way they know that because it's online, there's nothing that can stop people from using resources or a book. So they want people to prevent them from searching online or just reading the book and finding the answer. Um, but if you study and you know most of it, you can answer everything in a good way. Most of the time, I'm getting 90 in my quizzes, and I don't even have to use book too much. That's because I study diligently and I can memorize stuff relatively easy. Um, Not only memorize but also understand what it means, which is a skill in its own. So, and again, with subjects like chemistry, where you have to do a lot of memorization, because there's a lot of definitions like atomic numbers, mass number, uh, isotopes, protons, electrons, um, ions, cations, anions, stuff like that you have to memorize. Formula weight, formula unit. Too much lingo. Definitely it can be overwhelming. So unless you can actually memorizing, and honestly, memorizing, people say like, oh, don't memorize things that you really have to understand. Memorizing is a bad thing. No, for chemistry, memorizing the definitions it actually pass to be able to do good on the class. Because, for example, an isotope is just atoms of the same elements that have different number of neutrons, in the nucleus. So, and that's never going to change. That is just a basic definition that I will always stay the same. It doesn't matter which kind of isotopes they show you. They're isotopes because they have different number of neutrons. Same with atomic number. Atomic number is the number of protons, and all atoms have the same number of protons. If they change in protons change, if the number of protons changes, then the element also changes because each periodic table is arranged by atomic numbers. So if you increase one proton, then you are looking at a different element right away. So again, it's just definition, and it's a definition, and it's you don't have to go through the thing of like, oh, prove with science or math. No, it's just a basic definition, just like that. You want the proof, the periodic table. The periodic table is arranged by atomic numbers, but you have to memorize the definition. And in cases like that, yeah, you memorize the definition, you can do quickly and easily answer questions. And so, not wanting to study, not wanting to memorize, not learn, not knowing how to memorize stuff is bad because honestly, in some classes, you really have to memorize stuff. Even steps to solve a problem, you have to memorize them. Sometimes you will practice so much that it will become second nature, like for example in algebra. But with chemistry sometimes you don't practice a lot because you are just learning concepts over and over and over. Like yes, there's math, but the definitions and the language that you have to learn, that's memorization. That's just plain memorization. And if you don't know it well, you're going to make mistakes guessing or during a multiple choice. And I want my students to memorize those terms, to learn those terms, so that way they don't depend on memorization. They can answer easy questions that New York State puts on their chemistry regents, and they can answer that relatively easy. Anyway, that's all I have. Have a great afternoon. Till next video.